Hey, it's Derek Richards. It's a Drink with Derek here in Las Vegas with Les McCurdy, who is in Sarasota, Florida, comedian, comedy instructor, and comedy club owner of McCurdy's Comedy Club.
I need several streams of income
in Sarasota, Florida. McCurdy'sComedy.com. Les, good to see you. How are you, my friend?
Pleasure. As I was saying, I need several streams of income, as you can hear, and several, as many as possible. Never made it to star. That didn't happen. Hey, by the way, you probably heard it, but I read it the other day that the pandemic is just like being in Vegas. Every day's a gamble. You can have a cocktail anytime you want, and nobody knows what time it is. So there you go.
Perfect.
There you go. All right. And you're drinking a healthy beer.
Yeah, I know, right? That's the healthiest. I mean, I've had, believe me, I had enough whiskey the other night to take out half of Ireland. So I need to. Good Lord. This is my version of slowing down, Les. That's it.
Yeah, I know. Well, it is, because for the Irish, that's water. That's
exactly. Water. I have relatives rolling over in their grave right now.
Yes, you do.
This is first off, are you I live here in Las Vegas. I'm sure your journeys have taken you out here through the years.
Anytime.
Are you a gambler?
Not really. I mean, I'll gamble, but not with a lot of money. Yeah. Usually, I'm the type that'll go in with a couple $100 and goof around a little bit. But Pam and I love Vegas. We love the shows. We love going and seeing great shows. We love staying in really nice hotels out there, and we always have been lucky with that. And as a matter of fact, the first time I ever went to Vegas, it was on my 38th birthday. Got there, Ron Schock, who is died several years ago, a great comedian, was headlining Catch, and I called him. I saw he was there. I called him. He's like, Les, you ain't gonna believe what's happening on your birthday. They're imploding the dunes, man. The first of the old original, casinos, they were imploding it the night of my birthday. And he goes, so guess where you're going to be sitting? With the press corps with me, when that all happened. And so that was very cool. And he told me too, he goes, I'm going to teach you to play. I played poker, but I'd never done, really played at a table in Vegas, that kind of thing, Texas Hold'em. So he goes, come down in the afternoon. He goes, I play to win. He goes, I'm going to show you how to do it. So basically, the showing me how to do it was, he said, you sit right table with me. He said, if your two hole cards that go down are not a pair or something that looks like it's going to go into, something really nice. If your first two cards are not that, fold. Don't jack around. Don't just keep folding until you get those two cards. And so that night, I decided to play, went over to a table, Lodo table, and I said, look, man, I'm a first timer, so if I make any mistakes, just let me know. And they go, okay, cool, whatever. So I put it in. I folded 15 hands in a row, got a pair of eights, won the pot. Folded 10, 12 more hands, got another pair, full house, won the pot. Happened the third time. On the third time, the lady next to me went, newbie, huh? Never played this before. I said, in the old West, this is where I get shot, right? She goes, we'd have shot your ass on the second fucking hand. Chump, so
that's I know Ron was a huge poker player. I mean, that was his.
I go in with 100. I go in with 100. I want to win 100, and I want to leave. And that was something when I first started working casinos in Atlantic City. When I was with the Bermuda Mavericks, which that was me and Ken's sons when we were a team, and we were there. And the first gig we ever had, the manager, vice president in charge of the casino floor was from Nashville. And he saw Tennessee boys, and he was like, he came first show. He was like, guys, it's so good to have homeboys here. Meet me for lunch tomorrow. And I go, we've never been in a casino. We don't know anything about a casino. He goes, I'll show you everything. It won't help, So he goes, I'll tell you everything. I'll show you everything. It won't help. It won't help you. And So but it kind of did, just in the sense that he goes, it's the craziest thing in a casino, and people know this that are savvy. People come here to lose money, not to win money. They come here to lose money. The attitude is when they come to Vegas, you're going to Vegas. Yeah. Do you gamble? Yeah. How much you taking? I'm taking 1,000, 500, 20,000. But that's all. That's all. After that, so they're in their mind, they're good to lose that amount of money, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
They decided it in their head that they're good to lose that much money. That he goes, that gives us the edge right there. Because he goes, no matter how much they win on any given day, they're going to bring it all back and lose it later. Because that's the mindset. He said the reason he goes smart, if you're a really smart gambler like Ron was, he said, you don't have an amount you can lose. You have an amount you can win and leave, whatever that is. So if I go in and I go, I'm just taking $200. That's it. As soon as I double that 200, and he told me that, as soon as you double that 200, take those chips, go cash them in, and put that $200 in your back pocket. Now you still got $200 of the original money that you can keep gambling with if you want. But when you lose that money, you leave. You go home. And he goes, that $200 that's in your back pocket, go buy something as quickly as you can. A watch, a suit, a pair of slacks, shoes, something. So at least you probably won't hop the shoes to gamble the next day. Okay. So at least you have something for your winnings, you know.
That level of restraint is impressive.
Is the reason that gambling is is what it is. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, you mentioned you and Ken had did you both start off together at the same time with your group, the Bermuda Mavericks? We did. How did your partnership get together?
Ken and I grew up together. We've known each other since we were little kids. And Ken got a degree in special ed and elementary ed. Ended up getting a job out in the Denver area with it was a residential treatment center for kids all the way from 8 to 18. They had a school. They lived on campus. These were kids that were troubled youth. Some of them had mental problems, this, that, and the other. And I just graduated. He was already out there working, and I just graduated, gotten out of University of Memphis with my theater degree. I was heading out to LA. I was just going to give it a shot, see what I could do. And Ken was in Denver, and he had done some documentary films. He had cameras, and so on his field. And so I thought, hey man, I'm going to stop in and hang out with you for maybe 6 months and let's play with the cameras. I've never worked in front of a camera before.
Right.
So there was a comedy club. The Comedy Works was in Denver, different than it is now, but it's a great club. It's always been a great club there. And we started going down on open mic night and watching the acts. And after a while, like all of us, we go, shit, I think we can do this. And we signed up for an open mic night. And I didn't know how to do stand-up, when Ken didn't even have performance in his background. I just knew theater. So we were doing sketches. We were doing like Saturday Night Live, little short, quick sketch comedy. And it worked for us because none of the other open micers did sketch comedy. So the owners would let us go up almost, we usually could get up at least twice a month. And I mean, it was one of those 15 got to go up and, there were 50 there trying to get on. But we used to get on all the time because we were doing something different. And that's how we got turned on to comedy. And it was 1980. And we were hanging out with one of the headliners after one of the shows, just picking his brain. And he gave us the best advice in the world. He said, if you guys really want to try this, go back to the Southeast where you're from. And clubs are opening up all over the country right now because, between 80 and 85, it blew up. You went from having 24 clubs to 200 clubs. And we took that advice. He said, go back to the Southeast and be one of the really good acts where you're from before you attempt to come to New York or Los Angeles. And so that's what we did. That's how it got us into it. We started as a team. And the only reason we split up was because a year into it, we realized they're never going to pay us double the money. Ever.
You're right.
We're going to get to be headliners, and we're still going to be making $700-800. We're going to be lucky to make $1,000 a piece at best, unless we become stars. We could see the handwriting on the wall. So there was a point about a year in, me and Ken were in Virginia Beach working a club there. And I told Ken after about the third day, I said, Ken, I've had an epiphany. I know how we're going to double our money next year. We're splitting this fucking act up. You take out material.
Ken was almost like your ex-wife at the time.
It was. It was a very amiable divorce. And I go, what do you want? I don't care. And that's what we did. And it was just out of that necessity. I mean, so yeah.
That's cool. That's a great story. Yeah, we can double our money. I got to dump the other guy. That's beautiful.
Exactly.
What now? You're a comedian. You went on to start a club.
Sure.
There's a lot of comedians that try to open comedy clubs. And I'm not talking about comedians that just book one-nighters from time. I mean, that actually legitimately opened up clubs.
Sure.
I'm not saying this to blow smoke up your ass. You're at one of the most successful clubs in the country. And what do you think other comedians do to mess things up? What's the mistakes that they make when they open up a club?
Well, the main mistake, one of the things that I had that was that made my success is I had my wife, Pam, who is a brilliant person, and she has a master's degree in theater, but she was willing to take on the part of the business that I did not want to take on, and that is the inventory control, the fine motor stuff, knowing where every beer is, knowing the expiration date on the turkey, knowing how to handle employees, watching the money. And really, and she's very good at that. We will tell anybody, the main thing is they go into it without a good business plan. They go into it going, I know how to put on a good comedy show. And I'll go, I've got a room that is set up well. I know how to set up a room right. And I know how to put on a good comedy show. And that's what they go in with, thinking that's all it's going to take.
Right.
And so generally, they don't have a well thought through business plan that has really outlined every aspect of the business that they're going to need to be successful. And then the work ethic. And this happens with restaurants too. People go in thinking they're not realizing how much work they're going to have to put in that first few years to get themselves established, that it's going to be all consuming. I remember one comic was telling me he was wanting to start a club. And I was talking to him about, hey, one of the most effective things that I did in my area was I went and spoke to all the service organizations, Sertoma, Rotary Club, Key Club, any of those organizations like that, big service organizations, non-for-profits, have lunches, and they generally have a speaker. And I would go speak to all of those clubs and make them laugh and promote the club and give away 2-for-1 coupon. And this comic looked at me like, I ain't fucking doing that, What? That ain't why I got into this, Les. I want to keep my comic life. I want to stay up late, get up late, book the room, and throw an ad in the newspaper, and people will show up and word of mouth will kick in. I'm like, well, good luck.
Yeah. Let me know how that works out for you.
There you go. So yeah. And nowadays it's much harder. I got into it. Pam and I got into it back when stand-up comedy clubs were still relatively new. We opened in 87 and we opened the Comedy Catch in 85. And, we had an advantage there. It was still a fun new thing that people were looking for. Nowadays, it's just another thing to do, and I tell you, I wouldn't want to go into a comedy club in the size city that you would need to have a full-time A room. I wouldn't even want to go into it if I didn't have $1 million. Really, for real.
No.
Yeah, for sure. At least.
You've definitely got to lay out some money, and you've got to have a business plan, have some business acumen. And like you said, realize there's going to be a lot of sacrifices that you're going to make. You're not going to have that lifestyle of being out getting hammered until 3 o'clock in the morning, stumbling back to your condo or your house, and then wake up at 11 and go, oh, everything's going to be, all puppies and rainbows today. So
that's right.
Well, and you've also done a remarkable job of also branching out and doing other things with your club, creating the Humor Institute, where you and Ken teach comedy classes. And I ask this to anybody who teaches comedy. Can you make someone funny?
Of course. You can make them funnier. You can make, now, can I make someone a professional? No. Pro is a whole nother shooting match. Pro is a work ethic. It's dedication. It's perseverance. It's all the things every comic knows. That's a dedication that I can't instill in someone. What I can tell you is I can show you how to put a joke together, how a setup how the structure of a joke from a setup to the punch, where's the punch? You should be able to circle it. You should be able to circle the moment where you expect them to laugh. Try not to have any trail words after it. All those basic structure things. And I always encourage them at the very beginning, don't try to write your own material. That's hard. That's really hard, maybe pepper some of your stuff in there, but hey, get some street jokes and learn to tell them well. They're already structured for you. And we all know there's a lot of people out there can't tell a joke. You can give them a joke, fuck it up. They can't do it. There'll be so much set up. There'll be so much setup you'll forget that they're telling a joke, and we've all seen it. And so I just said, learn to tell a joke well, efficiently. That will teach you setup to the relationship between your setup and your punch, and it begins to give you an idea of what rhythm and timing is, so that when you start writing your own stuff, you have some kind of foundation to go to. You know what I mean? And so with that, if somebody will work on it, I can put them up there and they'll get laughs and they'll do okay, but not pro funny. I mean, that's a whole nother thing.
I mean, you get people that come up, they take your class, mm-hmm. and they get done and they're like, Les, I want to go on the road. I want to do this. And deep down inside, you're looking at them. You've seen what they've done. Yeah. And you're like, you got a couple of funny things here, but you're like, now, are you the guy that can be completely candid and honest with them and go, maybe this isn't your thing?
I've never told anybody no.
Okay.
But what I will tell them is this. They go, I want to be a pro. And I go, are you married? And if they go, yes. Okay. Go ahead and divorce her now. I mean, don't belabor this. Okay. Because that's if you're really going to be dedicated to being a comedian, that ain't going to work out. I'm 90% sure of that. Do you have children? Yes.
Sell them.
Regional, maybe just a hobby. Basically I go, if you're not single and able to not make much money for, we all know, for 2 to 5 years, not make much at all, live out of your car, have a friend or a family member. You can crash at their house when you're not on the road. Dedicate yourself to that process. If you're not willing to do that, and know that 5 years, bare ass minimum, to even get yourself to a starting point of making enough money to survive, okay? Or move to New York or move to Los Angeles. And right now in this day and time, I would say New York over Los Angeles.
Me too.
Move there, get a day job, and start doing comedy at night. That would be my advice to you if you want to try to be a pro. I wouldn't tell them, because in the beginning, Derek, when I'm watching them and it's their first few times up there, what did Mitch Hedberg look like the first few times he got on stage? The guy was scared
Sure.
to death. You know what I mean? There's comics me and you both know that had horrible stage fright. They did not perform well. You know what I mean? And ended up being good pros, So, that I don't know. I mean, that just willing to put in the time and being able to be selfish with that. You can't be responsible for other human beings and go do your first 5 years of stand-up comedy.
You're barely responsible for yourself.
Exactly.
Let alone maintaining someone else's existence. I can't even.
Yeah.
I
love that. My wife will go on the road with me. Yeah. That's always fun.
So exactly. Why don't you route out your trip and then find out the major airports that we can potentially drop her off at?
Well, and the thing is,
she's going to kill you.
Yeah. After she stays in the third comedy condo or Motel 6, and done.
We've seen that movie.
And you got no money,
You have seen a ton of comics through the years. What is the dumbest thing you've seen a comedian do at your club? You don't need to mention a name, but
no, I thought about that, and it goes back. It's the same thing, but this one did it to the 10th power. It's the thing of where you're on stage and somebody sitting within your eyesight is not laughing. Okay. And you decide to focus your show on that one idiot. And it ends up fucking up the show for the other rest of the crowd. Yeah. They can't ignore it. Their ego is so, And so I had a comic on stage, very good comedian, very good headliner. And ended up, even after he kind of got out of comedy, wrote for big celebrities, But he was edgy. And he was rough. He could be rough on stage. And one night, I had a man came in with 3 women that were so stunningly beautiful that you couldn't take your eyes off of them. I mean, they were that stunningly beautiful. And they were nice. They came, but they were sitting on the front row, just to the right. And they were nice. They were just sitting there enjoying the show. They were perfect audience members, right? Well, I got on stage and I know myself, I was like, they're distracting because they're just so gorgeous.
Right.
And just sitting there. And then the middle act, when he came off stage, he commented on it and he talked to him a couple of times. And probably more than he should, you know what I mean? And he said, boy, that kind of fucked my show up, man. Well, the headliner got up there and he just decided, you know what, man, I'm just gonna go to them and I'm just gonna make them feel ugly. I'm gonna make them feel ugly so that I feel better about that, rather than I'm not gonna let them distract. And they did, and he did, and he walked them, and they were pissed, and they had every right to be. I mean, I was apologizing. I was like, there was no reason for that. And as they were leaving, I said, trust me, this will never happen again in this club. And the guy walked off stage. He came back, and I said, and before I could say anything, he's like, hey man, I just couldn't help it. And I said, well, you should have. I mean, that was everything you did was wrong in a professional sense. And you know what this asshole said to me? He goes, I can't tell you, Les, that I wouldn't do it again. And I said, well, what I can tell you is you won't do it again here for sure. Starting tomorrow. Bye-bye. You're out of here. That was a Thursday night.
Right.
He was gone that night, you know, and that's always the beauty of me being a comic. I can cover the show. But that was the thing. And I think that's the dumbest thing I ever see a comic do is that they get an audience member or a table in their eyesight that just isn't into them. But everybody else is. And they focus on them and screw the evening up for everybody because of their ego.
Well, what's funny too is, I mean, sometimes even you look at a person and maybe they're not laughing. They just have a stoic look on their face.
Yeah.
But how many times have you seen that person come up after the show and say, man, I had a blast?
Exactly.
So, I mean, everybody's got their own things that they're going through. I mean, and some people, I mean, I have some good friends of mine that they love comedy, but they're not outward laughers. They love the art. They love the crap. They're having a good time, but they're just not big outward laughers. So
they just tell anybody, somebody's not laughing, don't focus on them. I mean, why are you putting any attention on that? Yeah. You know, you got another 100, 200 people in front of you, for God's sakes. It's ridiculous, you know. So anyway, it's common.
Now, is there any comedian that you love and you're like, wow, this person's amazing, but there is no way I could bring that act to Sarasota?
Sure. Doug Stanhope. I love Doug Stanhope. You know, cracks me up. I remember Michael Alfano, who owns the Chattanooga Club. Years ago, I was talking to Michael, and I said, who you got at the club this week? He goes, Doug Stanhope. Doug Stanhope? I said, does Chattanooga people like Doug Stanhope? He goes, they hate him. He goes, but I love him. He goes, I book him about every year and a half just for me. He goes, half the crowd likes him, you know, but he doesn't, not everybody hate him, but you know, but I found that, you know, super edgy comics, you know, that really want to challenge the audience, or angry comedians, you know, type. And many that I like personally, that I really enjoy their comedy. I've tried them here, and it's just, my crowds are like, you know, that's not really why I came here tonight. You know, I just want some fluffy fun. You know, I don't want to be challenged. My crowd's older. They've been challenged. Come on. When you're working with 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds, you can challenge them. They don't know yet.
They still have hope.
Yeah. When you're working in front of 50 and 60 and 70-year-olds, you're like, no, man.
Some acts that come through that you've known for a long, long time, that guys or women will develop their act. They'll get their 45 minutes to an hour, whatever, and they're like, you know what? I wrote that. I'm happy.
Yes.
And they don't seem to change their act through the years. Now
you have to believe this. Who just came in here?
Oh, look at that!
He just wandered in. This is Zayden.
He just wandered in off the street.
See yourself?
How are you?
He's coming in. Well, here Gigi can come get him. All right. Here we go. That makes me laugh every day more than anything. That's my great.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
I like his COVID haircut, by the way.
Oh, by the way, yeah, absolutely. No, it's his mother. She likes the long hair. She goes, I think I'm doing dreadlocks. I'm like, whatever. I don't know.
Yes, you should absolutely do dreadlocks on your.
Why not? Why wash? Sure. All right. You
get so many guys that come through the club, guys you've known for many, many years.
Right.
And they don't evolve their act. They don't write a new joke. Yes, of course, the Monica Lewinsky material was funny back when Monica Lewinsky was relevant. So now, do you, and it's got to be tough because you're not only the club owner, booker, but these guys are probably friends of yours.
Sure.
I mean, do you say something to them, or how do you even handle that?
Well, here's the thing. If what I know with an audience is that the fact that now I'm at a point where, you know, you've got so many really good headliners that you're really only repeating acts 1.5 to 2 years now in a lot of cases, unless they really are popular here. So in that amount of time, people, even if the act is doing basically the same show, nobody will remember it. So as long as the show's effective and done well, and the crowd has a ball with it, and they're pros, I don't really, it doesn't bother me. What I want to say to them is, how do you do that and it just not drive you crazy? How do you do the same act for 20 years? How do you do that? I don't know. That would make me nuts. But I just, some people's comfort zone. Now, if somebody comes in, like there was an act that been working my club for years and came in, and in his act, he had a Hawaii 5-0 reference. And I finally had to pull him aside and go, look, man, you do great and everything, but Hawaii 5-0 has not been on television. You know, they finally put the new Hawaii 5-0 on a few years ago.
That saved
that. And remember, TV Land came out and showing all the old television shows. I go, it's not even on TV Land. Okay, it's not even on TV Land. It's not like doing an Andy Griffith reference. Okay, I mean, at least that's on TV Land. And I had another comic that for years was doing a joke about Chappaquiddick, about Ted Kennedy, and this was 20 years after Chappaquiddick, and I'm like, let that woman die. I mean, what am I going to say? Leave her alone.
You need to put that joke in the car and drive it off the bridge with Kennedy.
For God's sakes, come up with a new 30 seconds. I mean, really, please. So every once in a while, if it's something that I just go is not relevant at all anymore, where I will come up to them and just go, hey, I just want to let you know, half the crowd does not know what you're talking about when you bring that reference up. They don't remember it. They have no earthly idea what you're even talking about, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that occasionally with that.
But you got the nice Southern accent and a very friendly demeanor, so you can pull that off and get away with it, and nobody feels like they're offended. They're like, Les is a nice guy. Okay, cool. I'll write 30 new seconds.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm like, really, you know, you're a pro, and in most of the cases, these acts are as you know, hired to do 45 to 50 minutes. Right. And most of these acts, like that have those references in there, they have an hour. Well, why are you got that in the show? You just, you know, that, and they just, I go, I think I'm doing you a favor because you're losing. You're not when you do that, you're disconnected from your audience, kind of like comedy. But you're disconnected from your audience. You're not understanding where their heads are at. You know, you've just gotten into a habit. You know?
Well, now, of all the acts that you've seen through the years, I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. I am surprised that blank has not become a bigger name act.
There's two, really. And I would say Dale Jones and John DeCrosta, simply by the audience response they get in my theater. I mean, for years, John is the most quoted act among my staff and has been for 20 years. I mean, without a doubt, when people say something, quote a comic, do something funny, 9 times out of 10, it's John. You can't quote Dale because you don't know what the hell he says. But
no, he's out of his mind. Hilarious.
You're not sure what he said.
Right.
But, and, you know, when Dale moved out to Los Angeles years ago, I called if somebody's going out there that I really think is special, that I do have the relationship with all the major talent agencies because I'm booking their acts. Sure. So I'll call several of the agents and go, hey, this comic's coming out, and I really, you know, they're one of the best in my club, and you can ask any club over here on this side of the country they play, they'll say the same thing. Go take a look at them, you know. And you know, there's and like, you know, Gersh when I Gersh agency, one of the agents there that's top level now, and I've known forever. He goes, "Who is it?" And I said, "Dale Jones." He goes, "I know Dale." I go, "Well, what do you think of him?" He goes, "His social networking sucks." And I went, "Well, is that a really big deal?" Now, this was 10 years ago or something like that. He goes, "Les, it's a major deal." He said, we used to go look for talent. You know what I mean? We used to go out and search for talent, and then we use our instincts and we'd find somebody that we really think we could develop. And he said, those days are not totally over, but they're kind of over. Now we're looking for somebody that comes with an audience. You better come with some heat. You better come with a strong, following on your social network and that sort of thing, or else we just feel like that you're not putting the work in the right places and da 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 da.
Wow.
So it's kind of sad to hear. But it's part of the business now.
Sure.
And the other agent, he goes, "I'll go out and check them out." So he was with ICM. And so he went out there. He went out to the Comedy Magic store and saw him out there. And I said, "What'd you think?" He goes, "Let me tell you something. That was one of the most refreshing things I've seen in a long time. That jaded LA audience laughing their heads off at just silly shit. Silly, just silly, no point, just silly, goofy, almost Jerry Lewis-ish,
Right.
If you go back to another time, not comparing him to Jerry Lewis, but you know what I'm saying." He goes, "But they loved it." He goes, "Now, here's the thing is, yes, he's a wonderful character. He's well-defined. He's a pro, Now," he goes, "here's what's going to happen. We're going to sit down in our big meeting area, and we're going to go over acts, and I'm going to pitch Dale out there, and I'm going to say all the things I think. And then it's going to be like, well, what are we going to do with him? We're not going to develop a TV show around Dale Jones. We're not going to, not at his level, not where he's at right now. What would happen is that we know who he is. We know what he can do. Okay. Right. Now, if a project just happens to come floating across the table, timing is everything.
Right.
It happens to have a character in it that we go, that Dale Jones guy would be perfect for that.
Right.
And Dale's still relevant. Then maybe Dale gets an audition. And maybe out of the 1,000 people that audition and 100 that are all connected, and he's not, that he gets the part.
It's so funny.
Hard. It's so hard.
Funny and such a good guy, and just really, hilarious.
Hey,
absolutely
kudos.
Hilarious.
When you think about it, just kudos to anybody who makes it to top level celebrity in any art form that's not connected already. The Dan Whitneys, the Jeff Foxworthys, the Kathleen Madigans, the ones that there are no connections nowhere, other than they're just good, funny, and boy, things just clicked at the right time, and they knew how to make it pay off. It's hard. It is really hard. It's a lottery ticket. It really is.
Well, now the second half to this thing, I'm fill in the blank. To you, Les, I was pleasantly surprised to see blank become a big name act.
Carrot Top.
Yeah.
Scott. And what a lovely human being. Known Scott ever since he was, 20 or something.
Sure.
And who would have ever thought? I never booked him. He used to always say, he goes, Les never booked me. And I love Les, but he never booked me. The reason was about the time I heard he was middling around, and saw him with somebody, and I go, it's all right. But I was like, I don't know, man. I was always like, I don't know if I want to middle him or not. And then he was middling everywhere. And by the time he was middling everywhere, by the time I was going, I'm going to middle that son of a bitch. I like him, and he's been out there. I'd call him and he'd be, Les, I'm transitioning the headline, and now I'm not middling anymore. And then I'd be like, oh, fuck, I don't know if I want to headline him. prop act? I don't know. And then by the time I'd go, well, shit, he's headlining everywhere. I love Scott. Let's headline him. So I'd call him up. He'd go, Les, I'm $5,000 now. You know, you can't. I'm triple your normal money. I'm like, I don't want to pay $5,000 for him. I mean, shit, he's doing well and everything, but I don't know if I want to pay that kind of money. You know, it is like every single time I would decide, oh, okay, he's doing well. I'll pay the $5,000. Now he's got an agent. You know, I'm calling. You got to call I got to call. I go, it's got 5,000. Oh no, so he's 20,000 now. Fuck.
What is the most positive thing that's going to come out of this pandemic in your eyes? Whether it's comedy or anything in general, doesn't necessarily need to be.
I would hope that what comes out of it, when we do come out of it, you know, things will get better. I mean, you know, we'll come out of it, and it'll take some time. It ain't right. Shit ain't going to ramp up in 3 months, but within a couple of years after we've established that herd immunity thing, and people got the confidence to get in big crowds, and we're allowed to have big crowds again, and that sort of thing. I mean, we'll start doing well again within a couple of years, you know, and then everything will, you know, we'll be jamming. I just hope that it's gratitude. I just hope that, you know, I think that, and me included when I say this, a lot of the world of people who live in really nice countries, okay, America being kind of one of the pinnacles of that, without a doubt. We're kind of spoiled. You know, we're spoiled. We live because of the technology that we've gotten in the past 20 years, along with all the conveniences we've had since then. I mean, that we take for granted. And now a lot of that, you know, you're realizing that, hey man, you know, that stuff can be taken away. And so I just think being more grateful and more appreciative of what we do have, I think would be the best thing that would come out of it, I would hope.
Well, and you got to look at the bright side of this. I mean, there's so much negative that's happening. I mean, you got to find some kind of silver lining. I mean, I'm not some Pollyanna, but I mean, you've got to look at the glass half full, and otherwise you're just going to take the glass and smash it over your head.
Well, you know, I said this before the pandemic. You know, we were already transitions are always messy. And we're in a transitionary time. We are moving from an industrial-based economy to a tech-based economy. Last time we did that was way back in the turn of the 1800s to the 1900s, when we moved from an agricultural society to an industrial-based society, when everybody started to move into the cities, started working in factories and that sort of thing. And now we're moving out of an industrial-based economy into a tech-based economy. We're changing. Everything is changing. You know, when you think about changing the whole way we fuel ourselves, you know what I mean? The whole way we communicate, you know, and which means we're changing the way we do business in so many ways. What happens is that jostles all the money around, and that makes some people excited and happy and, you know, and really motivated. And it makes other people really, really scared. And that's what we're in right now. And we're going through it, and it's messy. It's messy, and that's what we're experiencing. The pandemic just threw some icing on the cake on that, you know.
Now, I always ask every guest this: what is your best drunk story? I know you've got something.
Sure. Of course, there's millions, but there's I'm gonna give you before comedy drunk story and after comedy drunk story.
Okay.
Before comedy drunk story is the story of why I shouldn't be here at all. And if you believe in angels and God, and that they want you to stay longer, then that happened. If you believe in just stupid, dumb luck, then that's what happened. But I was 20 years old. I was coming back from the bar I worked in Memphis. I was hammered. I wasn't just drunk. I was drunk, stoned, pilled, whatever the fuck came down the pipe that night went into the system. I mean, I was all of it. Shouldn't have been driving. I shouldn't have been walking. Okay. So, but I'm driving, and I'm driving down the interstate in Memphis, Tennessee, heading back to my apartment that I lived with. Ken Sons and I lived because we were in college together. And I fell asleep at the wheel. And luckily I was driving a big Chevrolet station wagon. And when I woke up, I was clipping down those reflector poles on the right side where the heading towards a light pole. And I woke up and I just instinctually jerked the steering wheel left to avoid that light pole, which I did. Luckily, I was in that huge tank of a car. So I just started bouncing instead of rolling, which is, I should have started rolling, and I could have easily bounced across the interstate into head-on traffic very easily and caused my death and death of others. And in hindsight, it's just one of those where you go, it could have been so horrible. And of course, the car stopped. I pulled off the side, and I'm literally right at the exit to my apartment, and my apartment was right there off the interstate. So I opened up the hood. I'm stone sober at this point in time. The adrenaline, everything,
Yes, you are.
And so I opened up the hood, and my fan belt was broke. I just saw that. I did not know that the whole undercarriage of my car was destroyed, but the fan belt was broke. And so I take the fan belt, I throw it on the hood or on top of the car, hood up, and I walk over and knock on the door. It's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And Ken, wake up, Ken. And what's up? Oh man, fucked up. Da, da, da. And so we go up there, and there's a cop there. And I get out of the car, and he's like, "What's the problem?" And I said, "My fan belt broke." And I held it up, and he had those big bumpers on the front, big rubber bumpers on the front of his car. He goes, "No problem, man. Let me push you off the interstate over into that gas station over there." And I was sitting there thinking, "Oh, I hope I don't run off the fucking road." And he pushed me into the gas station and said, "Hey, man, have a good evening." And that was the one that I'm here and I shouldn't be. And the other one was comic Leo Dufour, very funny Canadian. And when he owned his club in Windsor, Ontario, I used to go up there once or twice a year. So we're walking down the main drag, Ouellette Street, and we are hammered. You can't be with Leo and not be hammered.
No, you can't.
And so we go into this little bar. We were talking about the other day. I forgot the name of it. He remembered. We go in this little bar, and we go up to the bar, and Leo goes, "Let's get some wings." Okay, let's get some wings. And the bartender goes, "You want suicide wings?" Leo goes, "Yeah, bring suicide wings." So the wings hit the thing. Now, you've heard that all your life, suicide, whatever. Leo grabs a drummy. He bites into it, and the juice of the wing shot out and hit him right square in the eye. That was straight Tabasco sauce. Boom, right into his eye. Leo, his 6'3" self, flew off the back of the bar stool. I mean, flew off into the floor. He's holding his eye like this, and he's screaming. He runs into the bathroom screaming, and then the door shuts and you don't hear anything. And the bartender looks at me and goes, "You gonna have some of them wings?" I said, "I'm calling my attorney."
Oh my God.
All right, I was just informed that I have to wrap this up.
Les, you're awesome, man. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. I know it's a crazy situation that we're all in right now. Look forward to seeing you back at the club, my friend. And you guys stay healthy and stay safe over there in Sarasota. And McCurdy's this opens back up in Sarasota. Get out there and see a show. It's a fantastic club. You guys are beautiful, beautiful people. Thank you for everything.
We'll see you here when we get back going. Take care, buddy.
Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Okay, bye.
See you. Bye-bye now.